Hi there, this is Cody with Leadspace Support, and today I'm going to show you a quick overview of the new functionality in Studio under the Explore tab. On June 8th, 2026, we will be moving exclusively to the Explore tab for all things Studio, including person company discovery, enriching person and company files, ingesting person and company files for suppression, and lookalikes. So essentially, all of the things that you have done previously in Studio will now be under one tab and one tool, which is the Explore tab. Now, on June 8th, you will see a little bit different organization when you log into Studio. Right now, we still have the same layout. On June 8th and moving forward, the Explore tab will be the default tab. You will still have the Segment tab, the Analyze tab, and the Manage tab. So Explore, again, this is where you're going to do one tool, all the things you're used to in Studio. The Segment tab, when you click on it, will be read-only. You'll see a yellow banner on top that will indicate it's read-only and that you can use it to download your segments. And then it directs you to the Explore tab for creating any new segments. So you'll still be able to come in, look at the segments that you've created, and download those. You just won't be able to create anything new. This button will be grayed out. Everything new will be under the Explore tab. And that's what we're going to go over today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Explore. And this is broken out into three main sections. The segment section is where we do all discovery and lookalike by choosing one of the three options on top. Created segments and saved segments are listed here in this view. If we click on exports, this is essentially a hub or a queue for segments that you have saved and that you want to download. So we first export them, they show up in the exports folder, and then we can download them to our system from here. Finally, uploads is where we can import files for enrichment or import to ingest them for things like company suppression or person suppression. So we're going to go back to the segments tab and we're going to look at find companies. And the layout is pretty familiar. On the left-hand panel, this is where we can set filters, we can set exclusion. And on the right-hand side, this is a view of the data based on the filters that you've selected. So you'll notice it's a limited view with 8 fields. We do have the LinkedIn profile on both the person and company side that you can click into directly from here. And as we add filters, just like in the current Studio, everything will change dynamically. So if I just want to look at companies with leadspace.com as the domain, here are my results, 3 companies. We can also exclude. So this is where we can add exclusion criteria and we can use suppression files. We can do suppression for person and companies either from an existing segment that we've created or from an existing data source, which would be segments and ingested files combined. We can also do signal criteria. So in the Signals tab, we have our full intent and install-based technology catalogs. You can use up to 5 each to further narrow down your company results. And that is done here. You can see the keywords, the categories, the parent categories. You can even search by topic score. And in technology is very similar. We have the tech values here. We have the different vendors, the different categories, and the subcategories you can use to filter. So you can use up to 5 apiece along with your filters for segmentation for companies. And finally, you'll notice we have a use AI option. So this allows us to use plain text to search for a company segment. So I can say find enterprise companies in Oregon. And then it's going to process, and then it's going to give us a result. Now, what's cool about this is that it actually persists with the filter data. So it found 37 total companies. It shows us what criteria it used, size greater than 10K, state, and Oregon. And then it gives us some follow-up options and suggestions. Now, if I go back to the filters, you'll notice that my filters have persisted from the AI search. Employee range and state is Oregon. And then I have my companies listed here. So now what I can do is I can save my segment. We can call this Oregon Enterprise Customers. And I added a special character. Let's remove that. And then we're going to get a notification it's saving and another notification when the save is complete. So when that's done, back at the main segments tab, we will see that under the segments option. So I'm going to click back, and now we see our Oregon enterprise customers. From here, I can click into that segment. It's going to load it right back up, and with the same filters that we have. So we can adjust, delete, do what we need. So going back, we're going to look at the exports tab. So I did not export the Oregon segment, but I created a segment previously today called California Enterprise Customers that I exported. So essentially from the segments tab, we click on the segment, we go to actions and export, we get a notification, and then we will get an email once that export is complete. Now I'm on VPN. This takes a little bit longer than what you will experience, but we should see, depending on the size of the file, fairly swiftly showing up in the exports tab. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and then go to exports. We don't see it yet, but we do have my file that I exported earlier. So now if I wanted to download this to my system, I would click on the download option, and then you can see it's downloading. And now I have it downloaded to my computer. So I can open it, and then that file and any file that you download is going to be the full enrichment results with all the Leadspace fields that you are provisioned for. Now, one quick important thing to mention is that when you are working in the Explore tool, you are not charged any credits until you download the segment. So that goes for enrichment, that goes for lookalike, that goes for discovery. So you can create the segments, you can look at them in the limited view inside of this tool, but you're not going to be charged for them until you download them. So I'm going to go back to the segment section. We're going to look at find people. This is very similar. We see filters, include and exclude. We have an AI prompt, very similar to the company one. And then we have some contact specific filters, job function, persona, required contact information. This allows you to choose email, phone, or a combination of the two as required info. So if I say, I'm only interested in person records that have an email address, then that's automatically going to narrow it down here. And that looks to be a little less than 41 million people in our database. We also have some company characteristics and then from a company list. So this, again, is where we can use an existing segment, or we can use an ingested file as a means of suppression or inclusion against that company list. So I'm on include. So let's say I wanted to use my Oregon enterprise customers. I only want to see persons that are attached to that list of companies. And I've already got my filter criteria for they require email. So that is 26,204 total people, matching my input company list and that have an email address. If I wanted to suppress, I would click exclude. And then if you imported a person file, we could use that on the existing data source. I have a person ingested file here. So I'm going to use that as a suppression means. It's going to think about it. It's going to look against the list that I have. And I don't think any of those will be in here, but we'll see if it changes. Nope, it does not. But this is how we would use suppression. And the same thing, if we had an existing segment that was person data, we could use that existing segment for suppression against our person discovery list here. Going back, the last thing is lookalikes. So this is very similar setup to what is currently in Studio. You upload a file, or you can free type a minimum of 5, maximum of 2,000 company names. So we're going to upload a company file here. We'll just call this lookalike. Click next. We have our mapping exercise. So it's going to look for these Leadspace fields, and then the fields in your file, you're just going to match those up. Click next. And then we can further add some location criteria to our lookalikes. Let's say we only want them in North America. Click next. And then I have 5 companies on my file. There are 50 max lookalikes per company. So that's the 250. You can adjust it if needed. I just want the max. So I'm going to create. So for this, you won't receive a prompt. You will receive an email once the segment is complete. And again, you will see that segment show up here in the segments window down below. The last thing to show is the uploads. So uploads is where we can upload a CSV to either enrich that file or ingest it to use for the basis of a person expansion or for person and company suppression. So I'm going to enrich. We're going to do a company file. We're going to upload our CSV. Here's my input file. We see it successfully uploaded the file. We're going to click next. And now we have our mapping exercise. So again, we're mapping our file column names to Leadspace columns. If they are the same name, they will map automatically. Those are the only two columns I have in my file, so no need to change. But if you have more inputs, you can use the drop downs to choose them as needed. We're going to go ahead and click next. We'll call this Cody test, and we will upload. So again, we will get an email notification once that file is complete. These are two uploads that I have currently. You'll see that one of them is a person file, one's company. This one was ingested. This one was enriched. You can see this does not have the enrich tag. This does. And it shows a number of records and a date and time. So from here, you can just download the segment. So let's say I've enriched my file. I want to download it. Now, again, you get that full Leadspace data set depending on your company configuration. You can also click on that enriched file, and you can see it in the company window with some expanded company fields. These are not all the fields that you'll get, but it's going to be expanded over the standard segment view. And again, you can take this file, you can add different filters, you can add different exclusion, you can manipulate this as needed, or you can leave as is. This is a feature that was not in the current studio. So this is really handy for us to be able to look at those enriched segments and look at each of the records without having to download it. And that's the segment builder tool. I hope you found this helpful. Just as a quick summary, Explore tab is what you and your colleagues are going to want to use starting today moving forward. On June 8th, the old way of doing discovery and enrichment will go away. Everything will happen under the Explore tab, but the segment tab will still be available as a read-only view for you to be able to download segments. If you have any questions or issues, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to set up a 30-minute call with you and your team to go over this, to give you a live training, a live demo, anything that you need to get comfortable with this tool. Thanks again for your time, and we look forward to your feedback.